We've got more bugs to cover in Animal Hospital Anomaly. Some of these bugs are absolutely outrageous. Our first bug is to do with the ghost. This user said, creepy ghost strikes again. Saw it last night and had a good jump scare, and they provided a photo. Let's take a look. As you can see, the ghost's texture is completely messed up. This has been an ongoing texture problem, I believe, since the game released. For some reason, mostly mobile players receive this texture problem with the ghost. I have to admit the ghost does look scarier, but this is a texture problem. It could be a device issue, or maybe the game has some texture loading problems. In our next update, we should find out if this problem has been resolved, or maybe this is a device issue. Our next bug is to do with the Headbanger. This user said, instead of the normal blacked out eyes, this guy looks completely normal, but still bangs his head. Ended up breaking the window like normal. Let's take a look at what happened. So for some reason, the Headbanger's texture looks like a normal patient, but this was indeed a Headbanger because the user said the Headbanger broke the window. So the question is, why does the Headbanger have the texture of a normal patient? Super unusual. We have another Headbanger bug. This user said this Headbanger spawned with 3 eyes on top of the hollow eyes, and I was unable to ask it to leave. What? And they provided some pictures. As you can see, for some reason, the Headbanger has 3 eyes which resemble the texture of one of the anomalies, but usually the Headbanger looks something like this, just hollowed out eyes. So there's definitely something wrong with loading the Headbanger textures. And the user said they were unable to ask this Headbanger to leave the hospital. It just wouldn't work. As you can see, the E function would just completely reset. That sounds very frustrating. Again, hopefully this bug can be resolved on Friday's update, because Headbangers should not look like this and Headbangers should not behave like this either. Our next bug is to do with the photos that allow you to see features of an anomaly. Sometimes when a photo shows static, that doesn't mean the patient is an anomaly. This could be a bug because players assume that a static photo means the patient is an anomaly. However, players have noticed that even though a photo has static, that doesn't mean the patient is an anomaly. So be very careful when identifying anomalies through a static photo. And as you can see, this player has experienced the static photo bug. They said it happened with other animals. And as you can see, a photo of Ratthew is static, which would normally mean that the patient is an anomaly, but we know that Ratthew is a story NPC and Ratthew is not an anomaly, so be careful with the static on photos. The patient could still be a normal, healthy patient. Our next bug is to do with anomalies causing a hospital death, even though it shouldn't. This user said the game counted an anomaly that was being choked and then shot by us as a dead person for our hospital, even though I don't think it should. Since it was confirmed to be an anomaly, it shouldn't have counted as a regular animal casualty. The animal who was shot was definitely an anomaly, as their eyes are different in the picture I took, and right afterward they revealed their true form as well. Let's take a look at what happened. So this player has noticed that this is an anomaly. From the black eyelids, they are different to the patient's eyes, so this is definitely an anomaly. A skinwalker attacks the patient, which has been confirmed to be an anomaly. However, when the secret agent shoots the patient at the check-in, it was counted as a hospital death. This should not happen because clearly the patient was an anomaly from the photo that we saw. So why did the hospital count this as a death? Such an annoying bug to happen, especially when you are following the rules of the game, but the game has a few bugs that cause hospital deaths. This user said this happened to us too. So it is a bug that other players are experiencing. Our next bug is to do with the gun. This user said, I was waiting for this anomaly to turn so I could shoot it and end the shift. but it didn't react to my gun. My best guess is that the curtains from room 7 somehow blocked the shots, despite being pulled back. Let's take a look at what happened. So the player is waiting for the anomaly to turn, and the anomaly turns and the player is shooting, but the bullets are not hitting the anomaly. And as you can see, the player had to fight off the skinwalker to free themselves. So why didn't the gun work even though the player had a clear shot of the skinwalker? The player theorized that the curtains, which you can pull forward and backwards, was somehow there even though it wasn't, which was blocking the shots. Maybe the player was playing around with the curtains and the game thought the curtains were pulled forward even though they wasn't. Our next bug is to do with a patient dying when being shot. This user said wasn't a timer patient, just a normal patient. When I shot him, he died on the spot. That's not supposed to happen. Normally when you shoot a patient, they faint. Let's see what happened to them. So the player shoots this patient, which would normally mean that the patient faints and becomes a critical patient. However, the patient just died on the spot, which should not happen. So we've got a few bugs in Animal Hospital Anomaly that is game breaking. It is ruining the runs of players. Hopefully these bugs can be resolved by Friday's update. Our next bug is to do with the X Taser having infinite charges. This user said my available X Taser went into negatives. Now I can just use it infinitely. I've been testing it on hiders in my patient rooms and sure enough the number just keeps going lower. Don't think that's normal. And as you can see, they have a photo of the X Taser having negative uses. So they have used the X Taser 42 times past its limit. So it looks like it went into negatives after the charges went to 0. So this player had infinite X Taser charges. That is so overpowered, but definitely a bug in the game and should not be abused. So if you experience this problem, make sure to tell the dev team how it happened so the bug can be resolved. What an interesting bug. Our next bug is to do with respawning your teammates. This user said pretty sure this is a common bug, but thought I'd still put it. Long story short, when one of my teammates revived a dead one, they were put into T-pose. However, the player was already sent into the lobby. Interesting. So it looks like one of their teammates revived a dead teammate, but the dead teammates left the game, but their model was still revived in the game. So let's take a look at what happened. So it looks like this decoy was left behind after the player got revived, even though the player has left the game. And as you can see, the decoy does have collisions, so it gets in the way. And as you can see, the decoy is blocking the cameras, so that can get pretty annoying. So be careful when reviving your teammates, because if they've left the game, their decoy can still spawn into the game and cause an obstacle. Our next bug is to do with the secretary. When using the secretary, as you can see, the secretary can't get too close to this table. There's almost an invisible wall blocking the secretary class, which makes looking at the photo very difficult unless you pick up the photo.